All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're here for, I think, the largest installment of Monday Modern here at Chupacabra with 20 entrants. We have round number one up now, Adam versus Kai. And it looks like Adam is still on Yawgmoth here. And Kai should be on Blue Red Murktide. Our Young Wolf on turn one for Adam will be a pretty good roadblock for this Ragavan that we see Kai deploy. Young Wolf doing a really good job of making sure Ragavan can't really get in, or if Ragavan does, it's going to take at least two cards to fully deal with the Young Wolf here. Adam thinking about his turn two land drop. Looks like it's just going to be a basic Swamp Blood Artist pass. So not an amazing start for the Yawgmoth player, but the Young Wolf is going to roadblock for now. And we'll see if there's any more mana from Adam. Leading on two basics leads me to believe that there's not a whole lot of mana production here, especially on the Blood Artist. So that'll be two triggers on Blood Artist, sending Adam up to 22, Kai down to 18. Undying will trigger, bringing back the Young Wolf with a 1/1 counter on it. Looks like Kai has backup Ragavan and Unholy Heat. We're just going to take care of the Young Wolf right now, sending Kai down to 17, Adam up to 23. Adam will fetch, probably for an Overgrown Tomb. I believe those decks are only on two basics these days. I think we're going to try to keep this Blood Artist in play for a while. Looks like Kai is only on one land, kind of relying on that Ragavan. Grist on turn 3 will probably be the way Adam wins this game from now. Kai being on a one land deficit means Grist is kind of just going to run over with value every turn, making more 1/1s. And then if Kai ever tries to deploy any threats, they're just going to be met with a Grist -2. Got the channel points prediction up for y'all now. You can go ahead and vote on who you think will win. Who is winning? I would have to say that if there was an advantage bar here, that it would be all on Adam's side of the board, as Kai is still only on one land, and Adam has a developed board. Grist for a few turns has been in play, and we're now seeing Adam feeling pretty comfortable attacking into a Ragavan. Wall of Roots with two minus counters on it. is going to be boltable, but with only one land, one mana per turn, Kai is it's not looking good for them. So we're thinking about coming in for 2. Might be at Grist. Still only on 1 land, it appears. Kai pretty known for keeping these riskier hands. I think they do pay off if you do end up drawing lands off the top, but times like these, which I think is more often than not, we're going to see um, just a 1 land start to finish, and it's just not going to be enough to compete with most of the decks in the room. As Grist alone is just going to be pretty difficult for a 1 land hand. Um, from Murktide side of things. So I think we do see Grist up to 4. So no ultimate just yet. But we are going to Eldritch Evolution and find a Yawgmoth, I believe. Yep. So a 1/1 counter still on the Strangle Root. We'll see if we have a Young Wolf as the last card in hand for Adam. Yawgmoth, of course, for anyone not familiar, has the ability to give neg 1 counters to any creature, and also draw cards at the cost of a life and sacrificing a creature. So we're going to do that just now. And since you put a +1/+1 counter, or you put a neg 1 counter onto a creature with a +1/+1 counter, those will negate each other, and the result will be an undying creature without any counters on it at all. Meaning, you can do that again, and if you have 2 undying creatures, you're able to draw as many cards as you have life. As you can just keep moving the neg 1 counter around, mitigating the other counters, allowing you to draw cards and other ways to win the game. Of course, if you have something that gains you even just 1 life, that will allow you to draw as many cards are in your deck. And if you have something like Blood Artist or Geralf's Messenger, you can actually kill your opponent with this combo. And that's really the main plan of these Yawgmoth decks. A pretty big backup plan that we're kind of seeing here is you just beat down with your Undying creatures, but Adam having the combo assembled, being able to draw a lot of cards here. And I think we're just going to come across for 6, which is going to have Kai scoop up the 1 land in play and move over to game 2. 40 minutes on the clock, plenty of time for these players. All right, that is the end of the prediction era. Perfectly timed with the end of game 1. Looks like it's 72-28 in favor of Adam. Good luck to anyone gambling there. Let's see who wins round number 1 here at Chupacabra Games Monday Modern. So for the sideboard, I really like just maxing out on endurances. For the Yawgmoth side of the thing, I think that card is pretty incredible. Dealing with any of these Murktide decks, as well as more unfair strategies like Living End or even Dredge. We do see a few cards coming out for Adam here. Probably more than just endurance is what he's going to be bringing in. We do have access to maybe something like Necromentia, but since the Murktide decks have actually been moving away from Murktides and more on Ledger Shredders, I feel like Necromentia on a Murktide is probably not good enough. I think something like Veil of Summer is really what you want in a matchup like this, just a cheap way to make sure your spells resolve and still have mana to actually cast like relevant spells. One mana is not too much to ask for the Yawgmoth deck, especially with something like Wall of Roots. Um, that's really going to help provide that extra 1 mana or so. So Kai will be able to take the play this time around. It'll be pretty beneficial. I think we've seen this matchup a few times before on stream. Not specific players, but I do think not having or not playing Murktide early, not Murktide, excuse me, not playing Ragavan early is going to be something that the Murktide players are going to lose in this matchup. Just not having a source of constant damage right away. I think that's something you can easily take out or at least trim down. As Young Wolf and Wall of Roots just make it very hard, if not impossible, for the Ragavan to actually get across for any value. But Kai still will lead on turn one Ragavan. We see if Adam is going to have any sort of response to that. It is a Birds of Paradise, so not a Young Wolf. That's looking good for Kai here. Birds is boltable, but it looks like Kai will just come across for 2 first, make a treasure, exile the top, which is a Young Wolf. See, second land for Kai. DRC will be played after in main 2, and still no second land. It's like Wall of the Roots. Wall of Roots was the draw for Adam here. Do we have a second land for Adam? Both of these players might be keeping something a little greedy. Okay, no, we do have a swamp. Hey, Silent Wyvern, appreciate you for the sub. Yeah, Monkey's actually making a pretty healthy combat step here. We might even see attack again. I do think Adam is prized into playing this wall and just setting up for the turn after. But maybe if he's holding on to something like an endurance, he might want to wait until Kaya's actual cards in the graveyard. Looks like we do have Skoos too, so we might just try to deploy that now and play a more preventative game um, of holding up the graveyard, locking up the graveyard really, um, and just not letting that pile up, so we don't even need to draw the endurance. Okay, so it looks like the wall will be deployed. Now the question is, do we drop a Skoos down as well? We're putting the counter on to make it green, and yeah, we are going to play both of the creatures here and produce a nice little wall of protection for Adam here for the following turns. Kai does rip an island off of the top. Let's see. Looks like we're going to combat too. I think it's safe to attack with the Ragavan, as the Scavenging Ooze is not going to be able to grow. But Kai has Fury pitching second Ragavan. I'm curious to see if this is just going to take out the Scavenging Ooze and deal 2 to the wall. And then Ragavan still has a pretty good attack. And I do believe the way Kai stacked the triggers, there is not a way for the Scavenging Ooze to eat the Fury before it enters the graveyard. So it looks like we went 2-2. And we can get a pretty good attack in here with the Ragavan and the DRC. Fury doing a nice job of 2 for 2ing basically here. It's going to allow Kai to make another mana if Adam does not block with a wall. And if Adam does block with a wall, then we deny him some mana for the next turn. So either way, I think this is a pretty good exchange for Kai. We're going to get to see the top card of Adam's library, which is an Endurance, a very nice draw. Uh, uh, what could have been a very nice draw for Adam, but is a pretty good exile target to hit off of the Ragavan. Didn't get a great look at Kai's hand, but I don't. Okay, so we are going to cast this Endurance, it looks like. That's going to put the Scavenging Ooze onto the bottom, and Kai's going to have a 3/4 in play. So, if anything, that play is signifying that Kai doesn't have too much going on in their hand. And in regards to maybe counter spells, something like Bolt or Unholy Heat could be lying around, as Spiral Canal is untapped. But Adam's just going to hardcast a Yawgmoth after activating Wall of Roots. We're going to sack the Birds of Paradise to take care of the DRC, losing Adam 1 life, but also replacing it with a card in hand. Looks like Ignoble and Stranglerootgeist are some cards in hand for Adam, as well as one more land, I believe. Ignoble will be played. And no combat, just passing it right back over to Kai. See if there's a third land. I believe Murktide, maybe Counterspell is in hand now for Kai. We're just going to come across for 3 with the Endurance. This might be, yeah, we do see Unholy Heat. So if Adam does block with Yawgmoth, we can actually kill the Yawgmoth. Yeah, I think Adam really just wants to take 3 here. You're fine going to 11. You're not under too much pressure under, and really just the 3/4. Like the Ragavan isn't going to be doing much at this point in the game, and we do have a backup Ragavan. So I wonder if attacking with the Ragavan was also correct, as you do have the Unholy Heat, and Adam might be more incentivized to just block the Ragavan. And then if you do, you just get to kill a Yawgmoth for free. Yeah, I really like attacking with Ragavan there. And then very least you get Adam down to 9 and you get the top card again. And now Stranglerootgeist is going to go onto the stack, and we're just going to Unholy Heat a wall. Is the best that this Unholy Heat is going to do for Kai. So guessing not Counterspell in hand. Right, that is going to take out the wall, as Adam will sack it, drawing another card. And Strangleroot will resolve. Can we find a second Undying creature? Looks like we have Chord of Calling, so we could Chord. We actually cannot Chord because we don't have triple green. We Kai getting rid of the Wall of Roots actually making it a little difficult. I do believe we have not played land for turn yet, so Dryad Arbor is something that we could just play here. Yep, okay, so we see Dryad Arbor. And now we can hope that Kai doesn't have Spell Pierce in hand and Chord for 1. Or actually, we could Chord for 3. We could Chord for a full 3. And I think we exactly kill Kai with Geralf's Messenger. Yeah, Adam would be at 1 and Kai would be at 0. Oh man, it's a pretty risky gamble. I mean, you get high risk, high reward. I think it was like you would get 5 times your value if you bet on Kai. But it's looking a little grim for Kai. Gotta say. I'll definitely let him know. His backpack will be on the line. All right, so two -1/-1 counters are going to be put onto the endurance here. We have 20 players tonight, actually. One of the largest modern showings we have had here in quite some time since COVID, but things are coming to be more back to normal. Yeah, for real. Yeah, a lot of people coming out to practice for the MtG this weekend, it looks like. Yeah, things not looking too great for Kai here. I think we are seeing nearing the end of Adam's Yawgmoth nonsense going on here. Um, I believe we just need to find another undying creature, and that should be able to let us end step Kai's turn, draw a few cards, um, and find something like a Blood Artist. But it looks like we have Court of Calling in hand too. We might just be looking for the second piece of the puzzle. Adam being at 7-2 does kind of matter. Kai is playing a Bolt deck, and if Adam can't find this soon enough, then there might be a window for Kai to sneak a Bolt or two in. It looks like just one Unholy Heat in hand. Here's second Strangleroot Geist. Oh, well, it looks like he might just get the 2-0, so the time constraint might not be as big of an issue. And we're just one piece away, so Adam really just playing around if Kai draws a second red source and has double Bolt in hand already. That might be a little troublesome if Adam tries to draw too many cards right now. Although he does get 6 looks at the top of his library to find either Eldritch Evolution or a copy of Court of Calling, which there should be 6 or 7 copies total that he is drawing to there. So not terrible odds at 6 cards, but I understand him wanting to just have as many natural draw steps as possible, make those odds even better. Which I think you do have the time for. You don't have a ton of time against Murktide usually, but Kai doesn't have a whole lot going on. Not even a lot of cards in the graveyard, so something like Murktide off the top is not going to be as game ending as it might normally be, especially with no blockers now. Yeah, Adam is just 1 mana off of courting 4 Drolf's Messenger here. Otherwise, this game would be over. We do find third island. Our third land in the form of the island. So if Adam is able to untap and Kai does not have any counter spells, yeah, so we're just going to court it right now on end step for 2 is the maximum Adam can court for. It looks like just 1 though. Means we're going for the elf. Okay, so we did court for 2. Okay. And we were going to get a Blood Artist. Okay, so Kai does see how this works, and this will end up in a 2-0 finish, and a 2-0 fashion for Adam. Round number 1 will be taken by the Yawgmoth player. All right, so we still have about 20 minutes left on the clock. I'm going to go walk up front and see if we have any other matches that still have some games left to try to get some more coverage for you guys on the camera. I'll be back momentarily. All right, so we are back with round one still. We have found a second match for you guys, though. It looks like it'll be Bobby on Tameshi combo. Shout out Logert. I know he loves this deck. And we have Teddy on Enchantress with a stacks play on it thing. So we're going to see how that plays out for him. And I'm notified we are in game number 3. And I believe Teddy is on the play. I think Teddy kept 7-2 when I was walking over there. So I think Bobby is deciding on mulligans at the moment. Okay, so we do see Teddy start things off with a Windswept Heath. And just a Misty from Bobby's side of things and a pass back. Teddy is on a 80 card version of Enchantress. And I know he's playing some Spice somewhere in the 95. I haven't gotten a chance to get a great look at his list, but we'll just have to see firsthand here in game number 3. We've got 20 minutes left, so just about 20 minutes left, so plenty of time for these players here, as they've gotten through 2 games already. So, let's see, 2 mana. We'll see the artifact creature that produces mana equal to the number of enchantments you have. It might be. I'll see if Fluffy, our table manager, adds that. Yeah, Sanctum Weaver. All right, there we go. So we're going to be able to tap that, add X mana of any one color or X's number of enchantments you control. And it's an 0-2, so it stays alive against Ren and still provides mana. And in this matchup, I'm pretty certain that the Tameshi deck doesn't play too much removal. And Sanctum Weaver. Oh, okay, so we do a Prismatic Ending. All right. Ending will be good enough to take out the Sanctum Weaver. It's Ending is one of the better cards in this matchup, though. Being able to get rid of any non-land permanent that Teddy has. So seeing that used right away isn't the worst thing. It's certainly a hindrance, though, as the Sanctum Weaver is easily the best way for this deck to get a lot of value and just kind of combo off, so to speak. Looks like Omen of the Forge, I believe that one is, the Perforos red enchantment. I think that makes some tokens, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to play that in response to a Teferi, so it makes sense. It deals 2 damage to any target, and you can sack it and scry 2, and it's got flash. Okay, and it's an enchantment. Yeah, I think the white one makes 1 or 2 1/1s. Was thinking of that one, but Omen of the Forge, be able to take out maybe some key components throughout the modern format. And any target 2 means it can finish off planeswalkers or even players. There might be some way to recur the Omen as well. I'm not sure if we do know what that combo is, or if Bobby is aware at least of this combo.
I'm super excited.
All right, so we are going to be temporarily joined by Brinker here. He does commentary usually on Tuesdays.
Also, occasionally on Mondays when I end up in the feature match and then end up back here inevitably.
This is true. So we have seen Enigmatic Incarnation come down, getting rid of the Omen and getting a Renegade Rallier out of that, which gets back the Omen. So we see the start of an engine here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what. Okay, so if you had to guess, what is the end game here?
I mean, I'd like to think we can go further than Renegade Railier. I'm trying to think of something that they could actually get to keep this going, but since
I mean, like an army of
Enigmatic
Ralliers
is-
isn't bad, right?
I mean, being able to deal 2 damage every so often too.
Well, it's every end step. Oh, I guess because you sack the Omen to
Right.
the enigmatic incarnation and just grab another Renegade Rallier.
Yeah.
And just do it again, and then you just build an army of 3/2s and
Right. Like Logan's saying, you do just kind of outvalue your opponent as the game goes on from that point. So if you can
Yeah.
stay alive,
enigmatic sack itself. Enigmatic incarnation. Sacrifice another enchantment. So
Okay.
it cannot sack itself, so we can't suddenly go get a 5-drop. You run okay, so hear me out. Would you run Enchanted Evening in this deck? Or do you think that's bad? Just to
I mean,
turn
I-
your creatures into enchantments to go get other creatures.
Teddy didn't go into great detail, but he was telling me earlier that there is some spice throughout the 95 at this list.
Oh, it's also a
So-
Yorion deck. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, I can tell that there's spice. There's
Yeah.
a freaking enigmatic incarnation.
Yeah, I mean,
in play.
that just adds more questions. I don't
don't-
think.
I don't really Tameshi Bloom combo. All right, I don't know. I know exactly what that deck does, and I'm definitely not rooting for it, but just because there's an enigmatic incarnation on the other side of the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of rooting for that anytime I can.
Going to end step here, it looks like. Putting the trigger on the stack. Some action from Bobby here.
Yep.
Looks like oh nope, guess not. I thought he did. Looks
We're
like
just
he
getting
tapped a
another
land.
Renegade Railier.
He floated a mana? I'm confused. Yeah, he's ward gating. Oh, he's instant speed ward gating in his opponent's end step because he has Teferi up.
Okay.
Okay, I guess he tapped the green source.
This gets Lotus Bloom. Okay.
Yeah. He tapped the green source to get himself the ability to make some mana.
Sure.
Or not get himself the ability to make some mana. He tapped the green source to float some mana, and then decided he didn't want to do anything other than Wargate after his opponent had already done his search, so his opponent couldn't get a bounce spell, I guess, maybe? I don't know. But it looks like we're probably going to see Bobby combo, or at least attempts to combo off here if he's got, because if he's got Tameshi in hand, he can just go from here if he has one more land also. Actually, I think he can just go from here even if he doesn't have Tameshi in, or even if he doesn't have another land. I think he only needs the
smashing.
Yeah, I think he just needs. Well, he needs Tameshi and a thing to do with his mana.
Right.
Specifically Cultivator Colossus. In this particular case, the Colossus would die. And I don't. If he doesn't have another land.
Oh, sure.
If he has another land, he can play it. And he'll be able to hold. He'll be able to play it, keep the Colossus around, and have a white floating.
Mm.
Or no, he will not be able to have a white floating. He has to give up the Colossus, I think, regardless. It's been a hot minute since I had to do this math. Yes. Wait. Yeah, because it's effectively a dark ritual each time.
Right.
So, but we're starting with it already in play, so we're not paying for the first dark ritual. So actually, yeah, he'll be able to, if he has a land drop, he'll be able to Cultivator Colossus with a mana or with an untapped land. I would imagine, and also or he'll be able to play Tameshi Cultivator Colossus and have an untapped land back if he plays an untapped land, which is probably what you want, and still be able to go again after the Cultivator resolves and keep the Cultivator.
And like we do see, if we do just hit another cultivator, it doesn't matter if it dies. There's other outs to that. It's not just
other cultivators, other Finale of Devastation is the green one, right?
Yes.
I think they also occasionally run Summoner's Pact to be able to pact for another cultivator if they really need to, though I don't know how common that is.
Yeah, I think Logert's right with the you can find another one, call, and then finale of Devastation as well.
Eladamri's Call, right?
Right.
Not pact, not Summoner's Pact.
Yeah, because you still want to be able to take a next turn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're playing a Cultivator Colossus, you're shitting all your lands into play.
Yeah, this is true. But the call is able to find Tameshi as well.
Yes, this is true, which is a big deal for the deck. It looks like Bobby's tanking here real, or maybe he already passed the turn. Oh, it looks like he might have already passed the turn, and it looks like Teddy's buying Yorion.
I think he bought Yorion the last turn.
Oh, okay. So Bobby's just asking
one of the cards in his hand.
Yeah, asking about how Yorion works. Looks like he might be passing the turn, or maybe not. kind of. Might need to ask our
Yeah,
player to accelerate his rate of play there.
they might be talking to Fluffy about something.
Okay. Oh, it looks like Ian is sitting right there also, so he might be keeping an eye on things.
Well, yeah,
maybe not. He might be looking at his phone. I can't really tell.
It's fair. As long as we have a few people over there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There's call. I assume this is going to go get Tameshi because you can't really do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really do the combo without him.
So
if he doesn't have the land drop, he has exactly enough to start the combo, but because he had to call for Tameshi, he won't be able to keep Colossus around if he doesn't have another land drop.
Right. I'm wondering what the pressure is here too. Like Teddy might just have dress down here too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not under that much pressure. Like you can,
unless there's something we don't know about
Yeah.
that the players might have seen in games 1 and 2. Teddy might just have a way to make it so Bobby can't win the game.
Yeah, I mean here's
dress down though.
Yeah, there's the dress down. So, and
It's pretty
Tameshi's crucially Tameshi is only sorcery speed. So
Yep.
not gonna see Bobby doing anything here.
Yeah, he's gonna let him untap, dress down.
Need to get that dress down off the board. Go give him a shout.
It looks like Gloom Shrieker is the card being played from an uncommon from Kamigawa. When it enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, and if it would die, exile it instead. So it's an enchantment creature that also recurs things from the graveyard, any permanent that is. So that's probably going to get dressed down back.
Wild.
Yeah, looks like Enchantress has Eternal Witness now. And Yasharn will be the pickup, which is actually huge. As that is just going to make it so Tameshi or the Lotus Bloom cannot be sacrificed.
Oh, yeah.
Card's really good against Yawgmoth, too.
Yeah. Also fetch lands.
Yes.
And
importantly,
it does things and stuff in the format known as CEDH.
Yep.
People
lots of treasures.
I was gonna say people frequently like to sacrifice some treasure tokens or maybe some creatures, a Rograk or I've been known to sacrifice a Spellseeker 47 times or two.
That's fair.
I think Bobby's just up a creek here, unless he has a way to bounce the Yasharn.
This might have been what he was fearing. Just lots of prison effects.
His opponent being able to go get Yasharn and slow him down.
And still have dress down in hand too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it picked up the dress down. Yep.
The fairy just pick up Yasharn, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I know I've seen at least one list that was running one Otawara, I think. Brian Koval of Bosch and Roll fame on YouTube. I think played a list that was running one copy of Otawara. Let me see Bobby picking up a land to try to dig a little deeper into his deck with that Tameshi. And it looks like that's probably that Plains got hit in the battlefield again. But it's kind of just gonna sit there because of this Lotus Bloom not being able to do anything with that Yasharn. And like I think even if you have Teferi here, you probably don't want to fire it off because you like just replays the Yasharn.
Right. It does protect you against dress down, I suppose.
Yeah, your opponent won't be able to dress down, but
But dress down is still, you still could use dress down on your own end step, and then it would
Nope.
um
because you can't.
oh, because of the fury.
Yep.
So sure.
Yep. Also, oh, there's a okay defense grid. Also, the opponent could, if you, the opponent can also just attack and kill the Teferi because of the 2/3/2s.
Right.
Or if there's another Renegade Rallier, just finish him off with the
How big is
Min-
Tameshi?
2/3.
2-3. Okay.
Yeah, so Tameshi's not going to really be doing a whole lot here
Not really.
at all. Kind of just gonna
We see Trial of
kind
Ambition
of just gonna sit there.
be the play. So that's gonna make Bobby sacrifice his only creature, and Bobby's gonna pack it up and die to these Renegade Ralliers and Yasharn. That is actually lethal off of that attack.
Yeah.
So we will see Enchantress take round 1 over Tameshi combo. Turns out the prison stack style of deck is going to be good against the combo deck.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah.
Certainly not the guy playing Death in Texas.
No, but a pretty sweet build from Teddy. So we'll might see some more of that on coverage. We'll see how well he ends up doing tonight. But Enchantress is this is a pretty good looking take on it. Honestly, I think more of the traditional builds. They're not as like stacksy, and they don't have the enigmatic incarnation. Seems like that gives that deck a lot of reach, especially in 80 cards.
Yeah, the tutoring hate pieces is especially when you're able to tutor an enchantment creature to move up the chain further is pretty bonkers.
Right. I'd like to see how Enchantress would fare against something with like counter spells, maybe just Murktide, with like a faster clock too.
Yeah.
Or something like 4-color that has just a bunch of permanent removal.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it can beat that. But I know there are quite a few Murktide and 4-color players here today.
Yeah.
It's like
It's the ball minion. That card is legal in modern because it was
the
printed on
MH2.
time shifted.
Yep.
Oh, was it MH? I don't think it was.
It was for MH2.
I thought it. I could have sworn that card was legal because of time shifting.
It might be both. I'm pretty sure that card has the. It's got the retro border foil.
Change set. Oh no, it was in Modern Horizons too.
Yep.
All right. I thought it was a time shifted card. Guess
Yeah.
not. All right. Still miserable.
Well, we'll see if that actually comes up today.
Yeah.
I see. I think Detention Sphere is another card that we can see out of the glare.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
Enigmatic Incarnation Enchantress. Wild.
Love to see it. I think Teddy said he was playing this weekend too, so maybe if he does well, he'll get on coverage there as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Over at the NRG. But with just a couple minutes left on the clock, I think we're just going to take a few moments break here, and we'll see you guys back here for round number 2. All right, we're back here for round number 2. Looks like feature match will be Joe versus Mr. A. Joe is on Esper Ledger Shredder Reanimator, and Mr. A, also known as Aquino, is on Amulet Titan. I know he recently started playing this deck, so pretty powerful choice here today. I believe he's one of 2 people playing the deck. And Joe playing more unique strategy, going with Reanimator. I know we haven't seen something like that in a while. Yeah, it's basically the Esper Shell with Tainted Indulgence, Faithful Mending, Ledger Shredder, and Archon of Cruelty. And then what you're going to be doing is drawing a lot of cards with those cards and being able to discard Archon of Cruelty to be able to put that into the graveyard and then reanimating it with something like Persist. And I believed these decks are not on Unmarked Grave anymore, just the draw discard spells, the looting effects, as a way to just kind of churn through the deck and still be able to put the Archons into the graveyard. It's not as much of a 2-card combo with Persist and Unmarked Grave, and gives you a little more of like a plan B with Ledger Shredder. So Aquino floating 3 mana here. It looks like it might just be a Talaria West that we get to transmute and maybe find Summoner's Pact or something like Cavern of Souls. It's going to be a Dryad of the Elysian Grove. So we'll get an additional land drop here. Trigger the Amulet. It will untap, pick itself back up, it looks like, and we're going to activate our Urza's Saga. Oh, no, we are actually playing an Endurance, which, a little to Aquino's knowledge, I believe he thinks this is some form of blue-white, but actually Endurance is going to matter against something like the Archon being put into the graveyard. So hopefully Joe has a way to quickly put an Archon in the graveyard and reanimate it, as now is the golden opportunity to do so. Cycle will go up to 3. Sacrifice itself, but not before Aquino floats a mana, it looks like. So second Amulet will be picked up, not a Relic. As it does look like Aquino does not know that Joe's on a Reanimator strategy. All right, Simic Growth Chamber will be the first land for play. It'll get 2 1-tap triggers, netting Aquino a total of 4 mana. And he will pick it back up, play it again for a second land for turn, going up to 8 total mana. And Aquino will go for a Primeval Titan floating 2 green, which will prompt Joe's counterspell, buying Joe a little bit of time as he takes 5 from the attack this turn, and hoping that Aquino does not have a way to make a second Titan, as dealing with the 2 creatures in play is a lot easier than dealing with a Titan. And notably, Aquino does not have any lands in play at the moment, so if Dryad were to die, or if Amulets were to be tampered with, Titan might not even be an option. Looks like Forest is the pickup. We might see that this turn, as Kino doesn't have much else to play. Play that, attack for 5, get Joe down to 9. We see some non-land cards in hand for Joe. Didn't get a great look at them. Looks like 2 Archons and a Faithful Mending. So we might be able to dig a little bit here. Try to find a Persist. Kino will come across for 5, setting Joe down to 9. And here we see the Faithful Mending, putting Joe back up to 11. Drawing 2, Ledger Shredder, Consider. And he will put both of the Archons into the graveyard. We will Consider on end step still, trying to find this Persist. We will put Tainted Indulgence into the graveyard and draw a card. Untap and draw for turn. Oh, we got another prediction for everyone in chat. Use your channel points to decide who you think will win and earn channel points after the fact. Like, odds are favoring Aquino now. So Aquino will come across for 5 yet again. Putting Joe down to 7. We see Joe on tap. We see it's a fairy in hand. That might make the clock a little slower for Aquino here. Still no persist yet. I think once Archon hits play, it's looking pretty good. I do believe Joe is not on Ephemerate though, so something like Ephemerating an Archon might not be an option, which is an easy-ish way to deal with a Titan or a Cultivator Colossus, is you can just make them sacrifice it at instant speed. Tainted Indulgence will discard it to Fairy. Ledger Shredder trigger. A little organization of Joe's graveyard. That is legal, as there's nothing that matters about graveyard order in the modern format. But I think Aquino just wanted to take a good look at what Joe exactly has. But this 3/5 Shredder is going to be doing work here. And with Dryad off the table too, and making it a little harder for Aquino to find a Titan. But it looks like we saw, or we do see Summoner's Pact plus another Dryad in hand for Aquino, as well as the Simic Growth Chamber that we know about. All right, so Growth Chamber will come down, netting a Kino 4 mana here. And a backup Dryad will be deployed, followed by second land, making a Kino 4 mana yet again, up to 5. Tapping a Forest for 6. And we'll cast a Summoner's Pact. Probably getting a Primeval Titan here. We might get a Colossus, but yeah, with double Amulet in play, I like getting Primeval Titan here. This is kind of it could be weak to a Solitude. We'll see what Kino opts to get from the trigger, but I do believe Joe is not playing Solitude. So if we just give haste here, this should just be a lethal attack. Yeah, Joe is at 6. Akino can give double strike here. Actually, a little easier than normal, as Sunhome is already in play. That takes one of the pieces already off the table, and Dryad is also in play, so giving double strike is pretty easy too. So yeah, Joe does not have a Solitude in hand or a white card, and that will be a lethal Titan. So pretty good top deck for Kino there. It was bound to happen at some point. These Titan decks have a lot of ways to find said green monster and be able to put it into play rather easily. And we even saw Kino go from no lands in play just a few turns later being able to make Primeval Titan. So pretty powerful stuff there. I think if Joe were to have found the Persist a little earlier, that might have been a little different game. Just being able to deal with more of the Dryads a little quicker. And the Endurance coming down early, being able to get in for a lot of damage. I think almost 12 damage just from the one Endurance. That did mean a lot, so good on Aquino for not saving that for something like an Archon, as Joe just never found the Persist, but I think he was just one turn away. He showed us there at the end. All right, so our players are shuffling up for game number 2, where Joe will be on the play, and we're going to see if he can cobble together an early Archon of Cruelty off of a Persist plus Discard spell, which in this matchup you kind of just need to have an early way to clear the board, as counterspells aren't always going to cut it against Amulet, especially nowadays where they're main decking up to 3 Caverns, and then usually have the third or fourth in the sideboard. as there's a lot of Murktide, there's a lot of counterspell decks running around with blue-white, with the 4-color decks. But of course, sometimes the Primeval Titan decks do have to mulligan a fair amount, so we do see Aquino going down to 6 here, which Joe must be pretty happy about, as he is a Thoughtseize deck, and those tend to be more powerful the more your opponent mulligans. All right, we are back. Had to watch the counter there for a little bit. And looks like Joe is off to early Archon in the graveyard with Ledger Shredder in play. One counter on it. Looks like Archon might have just been discarded. Whereas Aquino is on Simic Growth Chamber in play with Amulet, Grazer, and Dryad. So quite a bit of mana being able to produce. Looks like we have Valakut and Primeval Titan in hand. We might just be setting up this turn with Valakuts, following it up with a Titan next turn with Valakut in play already. And with one Valakut in play already, that makes it a little easier to haste, and that also makes it easier for Dryad to deal pretty crazy amounts of damage. Two mana. Here's Persist. We'll be tapping 3 mana. Is this an Endurance? Yep. Yeah, we do see the Elemental. The Elemental is met by a counterspell. So it's a counterspell that's not going to go towards Titan. So it looks like we were resolving this Connive trigger. Counterspell will resolve on the Endurance, and Archon will come back with a neg 1 counter, of course, making Keynote discard a card, Joe draw a card in exchange of 3 life, and a creature being lost for a Keynote. Thankfully, a Grazer is going to soak up this bullet from the Dryad to keep Dryad alive. So making a Keynote discard the bounce land also made it impossible for the Keynote to be able to play the Titan last turn. And now Joe can be able to come across for 7, as well as the trigger. It'll be a total of 10 damage. Making Keynote sacrifice the Dryad as well, discarding a Zeusa too. Seven damage should be coming across. It's like Tainted Indulgence to trigger Connive. Discarding the Angel. I think that's out of the sideboard as we see the Angel. So that'll be in the graveyard for a later Persist. So now this will be an attack for 8. Putting a Keynote onto 5. I believe we had to sacrifice the Dryad off of the attack trigger. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and that will be enough for Kino, and we'll be heading on to game number 3. All right, looks like our players are shuffling up for game number 3 here. I'm looking at their opening hands. It's like Akino's looking at a couple bounce lands, explore, and a few more untapped lands. And we're going to keep Bojuka Bug as well. Okay. So turn 1 Amulet with Bojuka Bug backup. Lots of lands. Seems pretty reasonable keep. And just going to be a shocked in Hollowed Fountain for Joe here. Dryad off the top is really good for Aquino here. We're going to get to power that out, keep a bounce land in play, and be able to play one more land this turn. Well, although Aquino does opt to pick up the bounce land. Maybe we only had one of those in hand. So in which case we would want to keep the bounce land. We could go bounce land, make 2 mana explore. I think that's what we're going to be doing here. Yep. Pick up another forest, and then probably just play out that forest. 1 green. Do we have a relic? Yeah, okay. Relic pretty strong here. Not a lot Joe can do about that outside of Prismatic Ending, and usually you want to save those for something like Dryad or Amulet, which Aquino has both of. Be a main phase consider for Joe. And Relic will take care of the card going to the graveyard. So this would have been the turn to find an Arcana, looks like, because 2 Persist are in hand for Joe. Yeah, we just need to find a way to get Archon into the graveyard. Right, so Kino's going to float 2 mana here. 1 green, 1 blue. Looks like he will use blue off of the forest thanks to Dryad, and that will allow him to transmute a Talaria West. And this should find Summoner's Pact. So if Joe is a counterspell, this is a pretty good line, as I don't think we see Cavern on Aquino's side of things. So Aquino's opting to Bajuka Bug now. I think he does still have that bounce land in hand, so that's something that he could pick up, use to pick up the Bajuka Bug at a later date. But I do think if Joe is going to get an Archon in graveyard, he's going to be persisting in that same turn. Looks like Brazen Borrower in hand, Polluted Delta, and Goblet Shrine. And we're just going to play Goblet Shrine tap, pass back. Hold up a potential counterspell here to combat this Summoner's Pact, or just the Titan itself. Come across for 4 before combat. So mid phase 2 is going to be when we're casting this Titan, or Aquino might just choose not to go forward here and just wait and keep coming in for 4 turn, just deploy more lands. Looks like Aquino's just passing back as Joe is playing Faithful Mending now, hopefully finding an Archon or some creature to reanimate. So we might have found an angel. So now we just need to deal with the relic, which I think Joe is just going to do on end step. And maybe get Aquino to crack the vial. And then we get to do secondary discard spell and get the creature into the graveyard. think we're bouncing the amulet here. Do we have a second way to deal with the relic? We might have ending in hand. So it looks like counterspell was just drawn. We have two counterspells, Angel. I think we're just passing back. Yeah, Kino will play a Cavern. Nice pickup there. Or that might be the no, the Vesuva's still in hand, so that does look like a Cavern. We're gonna replay Amulet. We're gonna have 4 mana floating, use one from Cavern and another Forest. We do have to Summoner's Pact for the Titan, okay. So Summoner's Pact will be countered. So another Faithful Mending. This will maybe put the Angel in the graveyard, but we still have Relic out. We're gonna discard Persist, Tainted Indulgence. And Joe with plenty of fodder for the Relic, but really just saving these Faithful Mendings. Going down to 5, getting a little risky here. No Valakut for Mr. A either, so if we can start getting an Archon or something in here, it might be a pretty good chance Joe can still pull himself out of this game. It's like Persist, Tainted Indulgence were the draws. So we'll draw for turn. It's like 6th land, so can't quite hard cast an Archon either. Yeah, I think if Joe waited on the Petty Theft until this turn, this last turn, he would have been able to Petty Theft the Relic, be able to Faithful Mending, getting in the Angel in the graveyard, and then also being able to persist all in the same turn. And that play only loses to an Endurance, and I think with just 2 cards in hand, it is worth waiting to do that play, as now Joe is kind of stuck in a spot where he's facing down some lethal attackers and has to do something here. We'll get basic planes off of the fetch. And on end step, we will flash in the Brazen Borrower. Kino's still at a healthy 20. And here's the Angel. That's the one that gives protection from a chosen card type. That and you have you and creatures you control have protection from the chosen card type. So I believe creature is going to be the play here. It might be land for Valakut, but I would imagine creature. And it is a 7/7, so it will take 2 dismembers or 3 land triggers from Valakut to take out Sarah's Emissary. Kino will come across for 3, or Joe will come across for 3, bringing Kino down to 17, starting the clock here as the Sarah's Emissary is a 7-power creature, so 10 a turn, gonna be pretty good. All right, so creature is named, duly noted by the creature guy unhinged card. So we have protection from creatures. It is looking like Boreal Grazer will be the play for Aquino. He's looking at an amulet, a cavern, bounce land, and another Grazer. So no Titan yet. We'll deploy another another Arboreal Grazer. I don't think playing the Reach blockers is going to do much though, as Joe's creatures have pro creatures. But if Aquino does find a Primeval Titan in these next couple turns, he can just get a couple Valakuts and kill Joe with a land instead of a creature. Unless Joe can take out both of these Dryads, then I think that it will be the case. We draw Bauble, Drowned Catacomb off the Tainted Indulgence. Discard the Drowned Catacomb. Play Bauble. Look at Aquino's top. And we didn't get a good look at that one. And we're going to start whittling away at those Dryads. So just one remaining. He'll go down to 7 here, taking 10 from the Flyers. And taking his final draw step, Joe should have an upkeep trigger, but looks like Sarah's Emissary is good enough to take down Amulet Titan. Hard casting a Sarah's Emissary through a lot of graveyard hate, but Kino whiffed on drawing a Titan in that 3rd game, and that will put Joe into the winning position for this round. Joe will take it in 3. Esper Shredder remaining undefeated through the 2nd round. We'll see if we can get a little interview with Joe here before the start of the next round. But with 8 minutes, I don't think any games will be just starting at anytime soon. So we'll try to just talk to him for a few moments, and we'll see you guys soon. All right, so we are back with the winner of this round, Joe, on Esper Shredder Reanimator. Joe, why don't you tell us a little about your deck here?
Hello, gamers. I've been playing four color Reanimator with Yorion for a couple months, and then I took a couple months off until I saw this Ledger Shredder card, and then I decided to start putting it in every deck that I could. And today, finally, we settled on 60 card Reanimator with pure Esper because of Ledger Shredder and the new Tainted Indulgence. You just churn through your deck so easily, and it helps some of the old matchups that you had where you just lost easily. So,
And you're not on any of the elementals, any of the MH2 ones?
this version has 0 elementals because wanting to keep to 60 cards and having enough one drops and the baubles to reliably activate Shredder, there's just no room for the elementals. While they're good because they're pitched, they're free, you just don't have enough cards to keep that up half the time.
It seems like they're good reanimate targets too, but only having like 4 persist. That's really how it is. It sounds like we're having a judge call situation, so I'm gonna leave talk to you.
Hello, gamers.
It looks like we have Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn versus Supreme Verdict. Supreme Verdict wins those. Turns out.
Yep. That hurts. Eric, County Eric. Hello, Eric. Why are you being a coward and not playing tonight?
Being very brash today, but towards our viewers, but you know, that's what happens. We got a few minutes left around here. Talking about, well, I should probably pay you guys out for the prediction here.
72%. Look, they're a bunch of buffoons.
So
That's the correct business decision to make.
all right, so just a couple minutes left in this round. I think we're just gonna take a few minutes off and see you guys back here for round number 3. All right, everyone, we are back here for round number 3 of what should be 5 rounds tonight. And here we see Drew versus Reed. Reed on probably my favorite deck on the format at the moment. We have 4-color Yorion control versus probably one of its worst matchups, which is Red White Burn. Conveniently enough, just a deck that goes a little too fast and is a little too punishing towards slower decks, like this 4-color deck. All right, it's not letting me make the prediction for channel points, so unfortunately, we will just have to uh, gamble it another way. But so far, it looks like Reed is down to 11. Drew with 4 cards left in hand looks like Skewer, Lightning Helix. And off of the Rip Bolt, that'll allow that to cost 1 mana. Land number 3 will come down in the form of Scalding Tarn. Reed going down to 7, just outside of 3 bolts, but or just outside of 2 bolts, but not Boros Charm plus Bolt. It's like Ketria Shrine was going to be fetched up off of the Flooded Strand. So Lightning Helix will send Reed down to 4, needing to dodge a Boros Charm here. Just 1 card left in hand for Drew. Looks like 1 land in hand. Might be, so we're going to crack this Sunbay Canyon. It looks like draw another land. All right, just land pass for Drew here. We might get to have a game. We have Omnath from Reed's side of things on turn 4, so no land here. But if Reed gets to untap, yep, that'll do it. Drew will die to the 4/4, gaining 4 life every turn. All right, looks like gambling is back on the menu. We got everything back up. All right, gambling channel points is back live again, corrected names and everything. Looks like so far people are favoring the favored matchup, which is 93-7 right now. Reed on a mall. Looks like Drew's just keeping 7-2. He gets to be on the play this game. Lead on maybe a creature that will guarantee some damage. And Reed's satisfied with this and looks like Knight of Autumn, Solitude, Prismatic Ending, and lands. That's exactly what you want to see in something like this. Ren and 6 is also going to help here. So we have ways to deal with creatures. We have some ways to deal with life if the game goes late. And Eidolon of the Great Revel will come down on turn 2 here. Super powerful card. I think the reason why this, one of the biggest reasons why this matchup can be pretty bad for the 4-color decks is you somehow do play a lot of spells under 3 CMC. A lot of abundant growths, a lot of your removal spells are going to be less than 3. But you do have stuff like Solitude, Fury, Omnath, of course, at 4 mana. And you can make Prismatic Ending or March of Otherworldly Light cost more, which is going to be able to bypass the deal 2 damage off of the Eidolon. And I do believe taking 1 or 2 hits from an Eidolon is not going to be the end of the game. It obviously doesn't feel good, but if you can, at the end of the day, just get that Omnath to stick and gain some life, you are in a pretty good spot. Now, obviously, Burn is going to be bringing stuff in like Path and other ways to remove the Omnath, but it looks like we do have Solitude plus a white card to pitch, and that's going to take care of the Eidolon right away, which leads me to believe we are just going to play this Ren this turn after a shock on the Stomping Ground. Seems pretty ambitious, but this might be the only way for Reed to actually be able to play lands this whole game. Land number 3 will come down for Drew. Monastery Swiftspear. Just a little less than a couple minutes here on betting the channel points. Let's get a few thousand up for grabs. Yeah, for real, 4-color is pretty solid. That's where my points went. Yeah, 4-color getting game 1-2 means there actually is kind of a chance, a fairly large chance, I think, for the 4-color deck to actually take this game. Stealing game 1, I think you do have to play really tight, and there's basically zero margin for error here. You're just every decision you make is going to determine the result of the game in some sort of fashion. But it is kind of easy once you have turned the corner. Probably the easiest game to pilot after that, or easiest matchup to pilot. You just have Omnath and you gain as much life every turn. Looks like Knight of Autumn is gonna take 2 damage. It's going to result in 2 damage being taken from Reed, but it is going to take out the second Eidolon. So Reed down to 13. Drew with a pretty large grip of cards still. Looks like 4 or 5. Swiss Spirit will come across, and Knight of Autumn will block. So no more Knight of Autumn ephemerate shenanigans here, but as the turns progress, Reed's going to keep making land drops and eventually get to this Omnath. Prismatic Ending is going to take care of the last creature. Reed will fetch down to 9. Just entering triple bolt range can be a little scary. going to take Ren up to, I think this is 6. And if we get to ultimate Ren and ending all of Reed's threat, or ending all of Drew's threats and countering all of his spells, we can get a counterspell in the graveyard. Is probably going to be how we win this game. But Roiling Vortex with a mana up is going to be kind of difficult, especially if Omnath doesn't play this turn. But I do see a Beseiju hiding out in Reed's hand. Wooded Foothills will be the play. It looks like no Omnath just quite yet. Yeah, if we can Beseiju the Roiling Vortex. Also wait on that too and hold up more mana for something like a counterspell, maybe even Solitude. But we're just gonna okay. So we're gonna Beseiju. This does give Drew another mana, which I guess if you're gonna give him another mana, you want to do it now. And Drew could choose to put that into play tapped, because that is just a Sacred Foundry. He has the opportunity to pay the 2 life, but it appears he will be declining that. I just Boros Charm to Reed's face. Is the second Boros Charm? Yep, that'll do it. All right, yeah, we're going to game 3 here. Burn having the double Boros Charm to finish off Reed. Yeah, most common mode on the Boros Charm is just deal 4 damage to face. I've also seen a fair amount of activations of the Indestructible to the team. And it's also any permanent you control, so that could be good against random Ponza matchups if you're low on lands, or if you need to trade favorably in the mirror. But typically the double strike is not going to happen either. It takes 2 prowess triggers to even be more than the 4 damage. So it's pretty hard for that to work, but you do see it come up every so often. Now that Reed gets to be on the play for game 3, this is why I mentioned Reed winning, the 4-color deck winning game 1 being so important, is that you do get to be on the play for at least one more of the games. So as for game 3 here, we're going to see Reed be on the play, which gives him much more, way more percentage points in the matchup than I think you typically would see. As I think it's somewhere around like 35-65 in favor of Burn for this matchup. Whereas on the play, it might be closer to 45% to win for Reed, but he is getting mulled down to 6 here. Looks like Drew's gonna keep his 7 as well. So Reed, it's okay to mull down pretty low in this matchup. I think 5 is definitely the lowest I'd go, but you do just need to see Omnath and usually some way to protect him, but you can't always count on that. So I think you just need removal spells, some number of counter spells. And obviously something like Night of Autumn is going to help a lot. It looks like we did find an Omnath and a few lands as well. Might just be that Flooded Strand, actually, and then an Abundant Growth. Oh, there might be snow-covered land, snow-covered plains. So we might have to be shocking in if we want to play that Abundant Growth on 1, but I think we just wait. We can just fetch for a Ketria off the Flooded, and then play Abundant Growth on the plains, maybe, and be able to Unholy Heat a creature. And that's a pretty good start, but we'll see what kind of hand Drew has. All right, so we are just passing with the Flooded Strand. I like that a lot. Conserve your life total as much as possible. You don't really want to be fetching, but it is what it is. All right, here's Goblin Guide that's going to reveal a Ragavan. So Reed is on a Ragavan version, which I think is a little bit more game against these burn decks, as it can be an early way to block. It's also a target for Searing Blaze, which is of concern, but it can also just ramp out an Omnath if you lead on it turn 1. But drawing it turn 2 is not something Reed is interested in, as he also needs to just find this green source as well for the abundant growth. So he does have to fetch that away. I think he would have loved to find a land there, as he's just on the 2 lands or the 1 land left in hand of the plains. Yeah, it looks like we were going to be fetching up the Ketrio. And probably just playing this abundant growth. And then Unholy Heat will be able to take care of the Goblin Guide after it gets a trigger too. So thankfully it's not a Swiss Spear in this case. Abundant growth on the plains. And Reed will pick up a Solitude. And I think we see 2 Omnaths hiding out over there as well. All right, here's a Swift Spear. We'll take 1 off of the Sunbay Canyon for a Lava Spike. That will trigger Swift Spear. And we're going to Unholy Heat the Swift Spear in response to the Prowess trigger, okay? And just keep the Goblin Guide around to get more triggers. And we do see Bolt, so that's another way to deal with the creature. And we're going to Solitude pitch Omnath to take care of the Goblin Guide. And if we have a backup Omnath, I like this play a lot. If we don't, I really like holding on to Omnath. Especially since we know about the Bolt too. And I think we're digging for lands here as well. Okay, we do have backup Omnath. That's good. We have Bolt, Omnath, Solitude. And we have Bolt to deal with any creatures. We just need to find lands at this point. So hopefully this Goblin Guide will get some lands, but it'll be Prismatic Ending, I believe. And we'll be suspending a Rift Bolt. So as long as Reed can draw some lands, I'm liking his odds of this game. As Drew has more of a creature start, which is really the only way that Reed can win the game, is if Drew's plan is just to play a bunch of creatures, as Reed's deck is just a bunch of removal spells. So that does line up nicely. And I think we did see an ending off the Goblin Guide flip, so this Rolling Vortex might just die to that. And we did find Misty Rainforest. And we will ending the Vortex, so Omnath can actually gain us some life. And another Goblin Guide. This one will come across for 2. Now we can fetch and hopefully draw a land. Ren is an interesting choice. It's a safe one in the fact that you guarantee the land, but you also can just get a tap land here and save yourself some life off of this fetch. I believe that was Spara's headquarters. That was fetched off of the Misty there. Another Solitude being picked up, but still no land. Gives us an opportunity to buy a Yorion, though. Finally, Goblin Guide gives us a land, and we can get rid of Goblin Guide immediately. Keeping Reed at 7, just out of double bolt range. like Searing Blaze is in hand for Drew. We're gonna play land now. This Solitude should be in the graveyard, right? Yeah, okay. It's on its way. And we find fourth land here. We get a forest, I'd imagine. Right, so it's just going to be a hard cast Omnath. Boros Charmer to end step, putting Reed down to 2. I think land kills Reed here. Another Boros Charm. All right, Solitude pitching Omnath is going to Solitude the Omnath, gaining Reed 4, keeping him at 2. Right. And it looks like Burn will take the victory here over the 4-color deck. A not so stellar matchup for the 4-color deck, but Reed making it look pretty close there. It was down to the last few draws, but drawing 4 Solitudes is not good enough, I suppose, for the 4-color side of things. We're going to see if we can get another match on camera here. We do have about 25 minutes left, so give me 1 second, and we'll see if we can get another match out. All right, we are here for our fourth round of Modern. The returning player Drew versus Brinker. So a good old Burn versus Death in Texas matchup going on here. And it appears Brinker was on the play, as he has a couple creatures in play. And Drew is now resolving a Rift Bolt. That looks like it went face, as taking out a Giver is probably not going to be your best bet. And we're just going to skewer Brinker down to 14 and suspend another Rift Bolt. Be a turn 3 Aether Vial for Brinker and an attack with the Leonin Arbiter. With another Rift Bolt going face, that'll put Brinker down to 11. And another Skewer will put Brinker down to 8. We're nearing just a 3-card combo. Drew has one of the cards, Brinker down to 5. Looks like land plus Lightning Helix in hand for Drew. So if we draw a Bolt off the top and Brinker doesn't have anything, I'm pretty sure he's going to die here. Looks like Eidolon might have been the draw. So it's going to be Eidolon. Drew will pass back, Vial up to 2. And so Brinker will just pass back. Looks like Shadow Spear was in hand, but he did not want to take 2 from the Eidolon. So Drew's just going to pass back, Vial up to 3. Drew's in a pretty good spot where, since he has a Bolt and Eidolon in play, that'll just bring Brinker down to 3, and the Lightning Helix will get him. So Brinker down to 2, basically can't cast spells now. I have to imagine Brinker is some sort of creature here on Vial for 3. Surprised to see the attack here from Drew. This is going to be a Flicker Wisp. And that's going to be a Searing Blaze. Deal 3, deal 3. Brinker has the Ephemerate. So interestingly enough, if Drew just didn't attack here, I guess the Flicker Wisp still would have been in effect. But the Eidolon would come back, Brinker's still at 2. It should still kill... Yeah, it should still kill Brinker, yeah. As that card has 2 targets, and one of them is still valid, so that part of the spell will resolve. So game 1 will go to Drew here. All right, so we're back for game number 2 with Brinker on the play, leading on Burnington Forge Tender into Chalice on 1, but looks like Drew has the wear tear. Give her for added protection. And this will be a Stone Forge. So Shadow Spear will be the pickup. Probably no Batter Skull. Here is just the having the pro red creature you probably want Shadow Spear equipped on. Just start gaining life every turn rather than 4 life a turn. To play around things like Skullcrack or Roiling Vortex. It's like it'll be a Skullcrack to Brinker. And 2 damage will get across from one of the Swiss Spears, but a Burnitage 4 Tender will be sacrificed to jump under the bus of the Skullcrack. And off the cavern, it'll be Shadow Spear. And just a pass back, no equip. Maybe Brinker has something like March, the Otherworldly Light in hand. Take her one of these Swift Spears. And here is Rolling Vortex. Looks like we have a Batter Skull in hand already. Our Cauldra. And looks like a bunch of bolts will send Brinker into negative life, leading Drew for a 2-0 victory over Brinker here, over Death and Taxes. And we'll send him to 4-0. So I think we're going to get another match on here for this current round, but there is potential for one more round. We're going to see how everything shakes out, and if we can get you guys another game, we will. So I'm going to go check and see if there's any other matches that want to go on stream to see if we can get some more content. All right.
James has no idea that I'm back here.
Alrighty, I'm back here, Brinker. Just got my ass kicked by Burn. We've got Caleb v. Steven here on Caleb on Murktide and Steven on 4C Control. James is running to the head real quick, so he'll be back out here in just a couple minutes for you guys. Looks like Caleb led on that Darcy, and we got a immediate crack on a fetch out of Steven. Possibly gonna see an ending fired off here to prevent Caleb from being able to get any value out of that Dragon Rage channeler. As soon as Steven finds the land he's looking for. Caleb cutting Steven's deck there. the bottom half of Steven's deck there. Even though Steven hasn't shuffled it at all. Quite amusing. Yep. Caleb already picking it up and thinking, yeah, there we go. There's that ending. Putting the Darcy over into the graveyard. Well, exile. Out of this game. Is that a unlicensed Terse in Caleb's hand? I think it's an unlicensed Terse. Over there in Caleb's hand, maybe. Which is interesting. Not a bad card against 4C. I mean, you can if you want. Okay. I'd rather not give oh, thanks. That's right. All right. So looks like both players just running out some lands. Caleb may be holding up like an Archmage's Charm or something like that. No, I should pull up am I on? Ian? Get Ian his channel points. And then how do I? It's just the good old land go out of the control deck here. And Caleb's running on that iteration. Steven gives it the go ahead. Looks like we got another iteration of land and or no, those maybe an unlicensed Terse and a consider or an unholy heat. I'm not sure. I can't tell. I think that was an unholy heat. I'm just crazy. Looks like Caleb's opting to not play the consider despite exiling it, wanting to hold up Spell Pierce, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be unreasonable, I think, to hold up Spell Pierce in this matchup. I realize my phone is making noise. Wouldn't be unreasonable, I think, of Caleb to want to hold up Spell Pierce here. To maybe counter a Teferi, or well, it won't counter Ren and 6 if Steven hits another land drop, which the 4C control deck is quite adept at doing. Steven running Ren 6 out there. That won't get Spell Pierced here. If there's the 2 mana off of out of Steven here holding up. Looks like Caleb might be going for it anyway, though, just to make Steven tap out. Since he already hit his land drop this turn. Oh, and it was a fetch land too, so yeah, there's that Spell Pierce. Looks like Steven's gonna crack the fetch land to make sure that Ren and 6 lands, which I think is fairly obvious if you're Caleb. You're just hoping to tap out your opponent here. To so they can't hold up counterspell. Going into what is possibly a Murktide turn, although unlikely given that you're sitting on only 3 cards in your graveyard. Steven's picking up the Misty Rainforest with the Ren and 6. And Caleb's being a derp about it, I guess, saying, hey, I could surgical that. Who knows? That's probably what I'm imagining Caleb is saying to Steven right now. Why did it have to be Burn, viewers? Why did my round 4 have to be against Burn? I would have been much happier with every other deck at the tournament, and it just had to be Burn. Another expressive iteration out of Caleb here. That one we saw him put in his hand last turn off the previous expressive, it looks like. Putting a land into exile after hitting his land drop. Feels bad, man. Passes the turn. Looks like Caleb does have at least one Unholy Heat there in his hand. It's definitely the card I thought was unlicensed curse earlier. I'm definitely crazy, but that's okay. Looks like Steven's picking up another Misty Rainforest after playing a Cavern of Souls on what I would imagine is probably Elementals. The control deck pretty good at just hitting its land drops and passing the turn with that Renin 6 right there. If Caleb doesn't do something about it soon, he might be staring down an emblem, although we do know he has at least one Unholy Heat in his hand. So it's pretty likely that and there's our table manager showing us the named card or the named creature type of elemental. Looks like Caleb has just passed the turn right back to Steven. Caleb's holding an Unholy Heat, probably going to try to use that to maybe kill the Ren, hold it off from ulting. Steven with a tapped Steam Vents. Oh, almost forgot to take up his Ren in 6. Remembered this time, though. Looks like Steven might have to go to discard. Just throws that fetch land right back in the bin there. I hope Caleb's not doing this on Steven's end step, because technically Steven shouldn't have discarded yet. Though it looks like Steven's good with that subtlety resolving. To come in and threaten his Renin 6. Looks like Caleb's going upstairs with this subtlety. And Steven's going to come in here with what I assume is an endurance. Yeah. He's going to endure, and that's going to be uncounterable because of the Cavern of Souls. Because fun fact, if you just tap Cavern of Souls to pay for a creature, and the creature that you to cast is of that creature type, it is assumed, even without having done anything, that your creature is made to be uncounterable. Caleb's firing off a lightning bolt here. Looks like Steven's gonna attempt to protect it. Oh no, he's just gonna fire a lightning bolt of his own back at the subtlety to just get it off the board. We might see a Spell Pierce, or there's an Unholy Heat on the. Both of these creatures should be. Yeah, both of these creatures are going to the graveyard here. Wow, Caleb using 2 spells to take out Steven's 1 creature. And Steven using, I don't know, it seems like a pretty solid 2 for 3 there in favor of the 4C player. Wonder what our players are discussing over here. It looks like we might be having a dispute over life totals. Caleb has fetched at least twice. Let me see if I can get on with our table manager to tell him Caleb did. Oh no, Caleb only fetched once, huh? Yeah, Caleb's only fetched once for the. Yeah, no. Caleb has only fetched once. He's played basics every other time. So 19. 19 does look like it should be correct there. The other fetch went into exile off of. I should not have done that. The other fetch went into exile off of expressive iteration. Let me see if I can get a hold of our table manager there to. Or maybe we've got it all sorted out. Yeah, it looks like the players have got it all sorted out. And it looks like Steven's just ticked that Renin 6 up to just take that Renin 6 up to 7. And Caleb's gonna fire a lightning bolt at it. What is with the 4 tapped mana over there? He bought Yorion, that's why. Yeah, and that Renin 6 is gonna survive. Caleb's only got 2 card types in the graveyard there. Caleb is slamming a counterspell in response to Teferi here. Looks like Steven's probably going to counter back. Yeah, there's a Dovin's Veto to get that counterspell right out of here. Which can't be countered, but not super relevant against your opponent being tapped out. Although, I suppose Force of Negation might have been relevant, but I think that would have gone through anyway, as Steven or Caleb would have been able to Force Negation the Teferi. And Steven opting to tick up the Teferi instead of draw a card. His opponent is still one card type off of having Delirium, so I don't hate that line of play. Because it means that your Teferi can't die to Bolt or Unholy Heat. Steven just continuing to tick it up, I think is where you want to be. Just keeping that Teferi around to protect your protect everything that's going on over there is where you want. Caleb's gonna jam a Darcy that's doesn't look like it's gonna do a whole lot because if Steven wants this gone, he's got sundry ways, myriad and sundry ways. Yeah, looks like he goes for the down tick there. Not even giving Caleb additional delirium here either, because he's already got the creature in the graveyard. Looks like all right. This will give Caleb delirium, whether or not Steven counters it. It looks like Steven has allowed it to resolve. And it will go to the graveyard. It looks like there's maybe another Darcy over there. And a Ragavan also. Looks like Caleb's probably putting that Darcy on the bottom. Or at least what I expect might have been Darcy. Looks like... Caleb went at Steven's face with the Ragavan to get the treasure, and now he's just letting that go. Alrighty, it looks like he hit a land off the Ragavan. Steven's just letting that go and letting his Teferi go down to 1. That is okay. I mean, he's got more reps on the deck than I do. Steven's got a glut of fetch lands chilling in here. Starting to wonder if maybe he'll eventually, maybe he might eventually start cracking some of them, or if he's just trying to hold them back for if he ever finds his Omnath. Looks like Steven's just passing the turn back over to Caleb. Caleb's firing a lightning bolt off. Caleb's firing a lightning bolt off at the Teferi, trying to make it be gone. Looks like Steven's gonna cycle this Triome to try to find an answer. May not have one though. Wow. All right, that Teferi is just off the board now. And it looks like Caleb is dashing Ragavan, and he's going right for Steven's face. Whoa. Steven just cracked all 4 of his fetch lands in one go. I would expect that this is probably a Solitude, given that he's going to be at 5 mana. It looks like there's at least 1 Shockland over there too. So this isn't going to be totally pain. This isn't going to be without pain for our 4C player here. Or maybe it is. It looks like we're back down to just one. We got 1 basic over there. Or one, so far 0 basic or 0 non-basic lands over there. We might, and he tapped a white source earlier. Specifically, he tapped a Cavern of Souls that could have been used to make mana of any color here. But it looks like Steven's gonna have to go to 6 to get this breeding pool into play and block and eat the Ragavan. Although I don't think there's any cards in Caleb's deck that are gonna counter this thing on 1 mana. Stifle is not legal in this format, so I don't think Steven really has to worry all that much about it. Caleb's probably just gonna lose his Ragavan here. Go up to 21. Yep. Oh, Oh, wow. Okay. Looks like Steven has opted to put the breeding pool into play tapped and just take the hit from Ragavan. Huh? And it's a Renin 6, which Caleb cannot cast, as he only has the one mana or the one red or green mana available with that island. He's going to return Ragavan to his hands to keep it safe from Renin 6. I wonder what. It looks like Steven does have a Solitude. I wonder why you didn't just pitch cast it and kill it and get Yorion in there, or with the Yorion that we know he's added to his hand. That was interesting. Why Steven just flashed Caleb 3 lands? Maybe lands Caleb theoretically knows about Steven having from Renin 6. That might have been a Yorion in there too. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. There's definitely there is definitely a Solitude over in that hand for Steven. So I'm real curious as to why he didn't just. Maybe he decided he. Like you're not. I'm super curious. We're gonna have to get out there and talk to him. And talk to our 4C control player over there and find out what it was exactly that was going through his head when he didn't just make the Ragavan go away. Your opponent only had the one mana. Maybe he thought Caleb had 2 mana or something like that. Okay. We might have to. Steven seems to keep going to discard before asking his opponent if he has any effects in the end step. We might have to have a conversation with him later. Caleb's firing off this dashed Ragavan again. Steven's up here in the tank, thinking about it. Maybe he's going to fire off a counter spell at this Ragavan, see if Caleb wants to fight over it. Well, it looks like Caleb's going to want to fight over it. I think I like this line if I'm Caleb. Although I think it's pretty obvious to me my opponent has a. Why is Steven? Oh, Veil of Summer. Interesting. Okay. I think it's pretty obvious to me also that like my opponent has Solitude in hand. Yeah. See, and if I'm Steven, I don't know that I wouldn't just. Yeah, I guess you want to maybe stop your opponent from. I don't know. You want to stop your opponent from gaining life? I don't think the 2 life matters that much at this point in the game. Like your opponent's either got you or he doesn't. I think realistically. And like we're approaching the point where you're about to ult this Renin 6. Because I think we've got it back up to 6 here. Steven looks like maybe going to fire off an iteration of his own. Yeah, iteration of his own. that the microphone was unplugged for like the past several minutes since Joe got back here, like 7 minutes ago. So you guys have had no sound for 7 minutes. I apologize. I blame Joe. It's entirely his fault.
You missed some cutting edge modern coverage that you'll never get anywhere ever again.
We might have another round. As I was saying, I was talking about plugging James's thing. He'll probably be back on Thursday, probably later or something, depending on whether or not he plays Legacy. I think he also streams Saturday. We might have another round here where we're gonna find out here in a couple minutes and be James will probably be back here with more commentary if we do. If not, Drew is our one undefeated from earlier in this round. So hopefully we'll find out here shortly for you if we yep. Booyah. I actually can hear them. I can actually hear James calling right now. Drew did. Congratulations to Drew. I don't know his last name. I've known him for 3 years and I have no idea what his last name is. Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry killing you there, Joe. Drew clinched it in first and your boy here got it in second. Tune in tomorrow for Pioneer 7/7/15. You'll have at least me back here in the booth. Maybe somebody else depending on if there's a bye or in between after initial games are over, we'll maybe get somebody back here or something to talk to. Bring you some Pioneer content commentated by a guy who's literally never played a game of it in his life. Probably. I might have played like 3 games one time, but not that I remember. See y'all later, I guess. I will actually be back tomorrow. Talk to you guys later. Bye.